Had a little sneezing attack right before we started. Go figure, right? All right, I'm Max Farrell. This is Dex Trader, and we have a lot of stuff to kind of cover today and go through. We're recording into our own system, but also onto into a group in our Dex Signals group, one of our Dex Trader groups as well. But we have these live webinars are going to be going on consistently throughout the week and into next week. Sorry if I sound like I have a cold. I don't. I just have really bad allergies. They're mowing the lawn out front, so go figure. All right, so first thing that you're looking at right now are our daily signals and our systems that we have. They fired off at 8:45 and 8:30 and 8:15. There was none at 8:15. We hit some at 8:30, but I was getting started for the webinar. We're running a little bit behind this morning on what we're doing. Okay, for some reason we can't stream to Facebook. That's all right. Cut that part out. All right, everybody. Well, my name is Max Farrell. This is Dex Trader, and this is all about trading on Nadex and Forex. Nadex is the North American Derivative Exchange, and Forex is the foreign exchange. We're going to be doing a little bit of both today, and I'm going to be showing you a lot of different stuff that's been happening and what we're doing. So sit back and relax and just take part and take some notes. Ready? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the Nadex option here. We have a couple of signals that fired off at the 8:45 time period, the USD JPY and the Audi JPY. The USD JPY has a better win ratio, so I'm going to use that. I'm just going to be using my demo account for this morning because this is the first time I'm doing a trade in a long time inside a webinar, so I'm not going to be using live money to mess up. But so I'll just show you the mechanics. It's the same exact thing. Okay, so we're looking at the Audi JPY. Oh no, sorry, USD JPY 109.40 on a sell. USD JPY, look down here. Oh, I got to refresh. USD JPY, we're looking for the 11 a.m. daily. 109.40 on the sell. So we're right about here on the sell here. Let me get a pen up here. We're right about there. That's our mark. So it has a pretty good process happening right now. So what I'm going to do is come down here, double click. I'm looking for, because I'm on the sell side, I'm looking for about $22 worth of profit. Why isn't it floating right? Let's try again. $22. And place order. Direction buy or sell. Oh, that is so weird. Because I didn't do it that way. All right. I'm going to click on that. There we go. I'm going to click 22, and I'm going to place order. Now, you can see real quickly that I have a max profit of 22 and a max loss of 78. Now, that's not as much as I usually like to see it on these longer terms, but because it's so in the money, what we do is that we look at if the possibility of it coming back to the levels that it's at, okay, because we trade on the range, right? And we have a working order sitting here, okay? As the price has dropped down to right around in here, we're waiting for it to come back up real close to continue on to go down, okay? That's the mentality. But there's some times that doesn't happen. So it might not get filled. But if it does get filled, it'll get filled at the 22 and continue on. Now let's jump back over and have a look at the other trade that was on here, USD or Audi JPY 82.20. But I usually don't put two trades on, but I want to look at it to make sure that we're not missing anything. So 82.20 on the sell, Audi JPY. 82.20, yeah, same thing. Sitting at 37.50 on the second one down, but 82.20 doesn't have anything on it. Now, what I could do is also isolate on our system the variables of that trade on the sell side, and look to see how many times has the trade fallen underneath 20 pips. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all right. You know, 4 out of 20 that are on here, it's got about an 80% chance to kind of take that possibility. And there's not really a lot of news happening right at the moment. So could 8220 really, or 8200 really do it? And since it's underneath it, just underneath it, that's another psychological level. Let's go look at a chart. We're sort of just under this 82 level right here. Okay, but with this particular pair, it has really given itself some troubles here and there. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. It's sitting at about 82.10, right in that marker right there. This is where I'm looking at, that it hasn't been really entrusted too much. It's been hit there a few times and tested back and forth, and then vibrated in between this level. Okay, now this is what I'm worried about, is that sometimes the psychological level of 82.00 is really 82.10 or 06. Okay, and in the world of micro pips being the deciding factor, that's not really, I mean, if it was 8200 and it was like a clear bounce off of that resistance, then I would probably be all over that one. But I think I'm going to pass on doing a choke up on that Audi JPY, or Audi JPY. Let's go back over and 227. We're sitting at 1750 on the current market. So that USD JPY might get bought up. We still have a couple of hours left on that purchase there, on that availability. So it still looks pretty good. We still could get bought on that process. Now, I have signals ringing off in my ear right now. I'm going to go over and have a look at those real quick. Let's do all. Oh. Yep, it was another JPY. So another JPY fired off, British Gold Pound JPY, 147.80 at the 9 o'clock hour. This is the last set of signals I would take. Anything that fires off after this, I never take. Okay, so let's go have a look at that, 147.80, but on the buy. So this one's a little bit divergent against the market values of everything else. JPY sell, JPY buy. So let's go look at the chart first. See if there's anything on here that's, yeah, I guess it is telling me a buy. We sort of come back around on that process where we bounced off. Now we're heavy into support here. Real good heavy support line at 147.66, right around in that area. Let's go look at 147.80 on the buy. That's it's still pretty high. Of course, let's go. Here, AM. Yeah, it looks like looks like that USD came back up and left. What's the number again? 147.80. 147.80 on the buy side. I've probably been gabbing too much in there to miss that. So what I'm going to do is on the buy side, put it in for 78. Place the order. Now, I normally don't like to do this. I don't like to see difference in direction, okay, from one base pair to another. But I'm looking at the other numbers here for the pair here. So 147.59 is a really strong indicator for up. But I think we're going to end up, because we're on the outside of this Bollinger Band right now, I see us kind of coming back to the mean. But with this outreaching here, this is what I'm worried about right here. That 148.99, or I'm sorry, wrong one. That 148.60, it's going to be extending up to try to reach to that and then come back down and play in this zone today. So what I'm going to do is simply redivert. I'm going to to come back over to the Nadex, and I'm going to take that Great Britain pound and just hit delete remainder and close, and just leave that USD JPY on there, just in case it does come back. We have about an hour, 2 hours from that point, from that position. All right. So that's basically how I go through and look at my daily signals. Also on this system, there is a track of intraday signals that fly on. They're not as successful as the dailies, but they are successful when you trade them in the proper way. You will depict losses, you will see, but you're getting them for more money. There's more of an opportunity. The SR Maxes are really strong as well, because you can scalp in and scalp out, or scalp out with profit or scalp out for a small loss. In the process, even these losses at some times, because they've lost on that market, you're getting them at such a good number, you're able to get in, the number matures, and then you're able to buy out very quickly. But it's all relevant to the MACD and support and resistance, and I teach you how to use those in there. All right, let's just take a quick little break here from the DEX trader side of it, and I want to kind of go over the DEX effects copy solution, and looking at Forex this morning. First off, news in Forex was pretty light for this morning. We had a couple small things, FOMC, was getting out there talking a lot of stuff. There's a lot of talks today throughout the day. Tonight's going to be pretty impacted with JPY. So that's my forecast for the Forex news weather, if you will. But the other thing that I was looking at here in the DEX effects world, let me pop that up here real quick. I'm going to do a new share. Oop, wrong one. Either way, let me copy. Resume share, new share, and desktop. Okay, here we go. All right, so DEX effects copy. We have really put together a few pretty cool things, and the first one is, and I'll show you this in a. I won't do a slide, but I'll talk to you real quickly, just about the process itself is pretty cool. I've been building bots and systems and programs for some time, and the solution of trying to find the right angle to get to, right? And it always came back down to one thing, the look of the equity curve as things started to happen, and what did it look like compared to what it was doing, and the equity curve being reliant on the success rates of the bot. So simply enough, if your equity curve looked like this, you were golden. You were considered almost like a trading god, right? But when you get really close into it, if you magnified this little area right here, people getting in here were like, yay, we're loving life. And then people who got in here were like, no, because these are losing trades, right? And then they see the winning trades, and then they get losing trades. And at each time, there was a significant psychological battle happening amongst customers, or even myself, when doing this. And don't think that I'm some sort of guru that can't withstand, some of the psychological battles that happen. The trade going like, system going like this, and all of a sudden going like this. The things that you start thinking of here, with all kinds of things. Should I be doing a different system? Should I do a different program? So one thing that I had to really get to was to, once I see something happen, just leave it the hell alone, especially if it's a bot, right? Let it do its thing. Set its parameters, set its variables, and let it test. And if the tests come out great, good. But let's talk about that test. There is a concept of testing that there is if this is 100% success, is 0% success. And then what's in the middle is 50, right? 50%. Now, 50% success on a trade can yield you, but there's so many variables in there, so many different parameters that you can put in there. It all depends on your risk to reward ratio, what you're at, what your profit margin to your stop loss, is taking, you know, so there's a lot of little variables. Okay. But let's just pretend just for a second that everything is just 1-to-1, right? Everything is just 1-to-1. Can 50% success yield you a good level of money? And the answer is yes, it can yield you. Okay. Again, the amount of that stop loss, where you have it, and that yield of 1-to-1, you can eventually, if the process is pure, if the broker is real, if it's not fake, if it's not a crazy solution in there, it will eventually at times yield above, right? But it'll vibrate. You'll never just be win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. You might win a couple and then lose a couple, and win a couple and then lose a whole bunch, and then win a couple and so forth. But the idea here is that to make 50% success work for you, you have to be at least on one side of the profit margin, okay, on the R to R value. Okay. Now, if you're 1-to-2, 50% can work for you really, really well. But we're not here today to talk about R value and injection of R value into your strategy. What we're here to talk to you about today is the performance of a product, of a bot, right? Or an EA, an expert advisor, right? And in the world of percentages of 100% to 50% to 0%, of course, if a bot's not doing anything and something's wrong, right? If you're losing every single one, this is something good, and I'll tell you why. There's a concept called 60-40, and this 60-40 is a product of a 1-to-1 value, right? On a 1-to-1 value, 50% is not doing so great, and if you're trading it directly, 40% is really bad, right? So you're not going to want to use a bot that has 40% success rate. 60% could be very, very good because it could yield you a good percentage of return, okay? But it all depends on what your curve looks like, right? So if you have a bot that trades and it trades within this realm of this curve of the mean, right? We're going to refer to this as the mean or the middle, okay? The 60-40 side, you're basically trapped in hell, okay? And the reason why you're trapped in hell is because you can't depict a good trend, right? This is compression, right? Consolidation. You can actually see your trading value of success rate is almost looking like the market, right? Of the up and downs. What do you really want to see in this progress of your progression? Well, you want to see something that's either above 60% or below 40%. And here's where it's going to blow your mind. Why below 40%? Because you could flip it. That's right. If the variables are changeable within your system, and let's say, let me create a whole new little thing here. Let's just say that your progression is really, really bad, right? This is 50%. Let me get back in here. If this is 50% and this is 40% and this is 30%, okay? And you got like 30%, and all your trades are really losing, right? So you don't lose them every single one of them, okay? But if you won a couple and then you lost a whole bunch, and then you won a couple, then you lost a whole bunch, then you won a couple, then you lost a whole bunch, your curve is going to look like this, right? But the concept is, if it's doing this bad, why couldn't you flip the variables to be in the opposite direction? So if your bot is doing this bad when it calls a buy, then call your trades a sell. Not that all of these were buys, okay? So the equity curve would look like this. You would win. So here where you were winning, you would lose a little bit. And then here where you were losing, you would win a bunch. And then lose a couple, then win a bunch. And this idea really came from a long time ago when I asked a programmer who was teaching me at the time, this is very early in the stage of my own programming, you know, hey, could you put a reverse button on the system for me? And he goes, why the hell would you want to do that? Why not just perfect your system to go forward and do well? It was a good question. but I still wanted a reverse button because the variable was tweak the variables to do well. But if they don't, I want to just flip it. I was lazy. Is this lazy? I don't know. It turned out to be pretty genius for me because it worked out very well. Why? I'll show you why. Thanks for asking. Let me get a new share up here. Go to my desktop. And I'm going to go to the My Effects book. I'm going to go to Odin Alpha. This is what I'm talking about. The Odin Alpha, really crazy. Let me see. Pardon me for 1 second. I'm going to run over to see if it got picked up. It probably looks like it's going to get picked up here, that USD JPY we were looking at earlier. So we're going to jump back over here. But the Odin Alpha was put on back in January of 2018. So just very in the beginning part of the year. Okay. And immediately came off and started looking like it lost a couple of trades right away, but then started looking like it was doing pretty good. And then just literally lost its mind. And progressively, you know, it trailed out for a little bit, got a little bit more aggressive, and it just really started letting me down, right? Because I put a lot of time and effort into cultivating the variables in this thing and just really let go. And I'm like, all right, this is getting ridiculous, you know? So right in about April, okay, right in this area, I needed it to perform less than 10% of the equity curve gain to get below 10% in this fashion where I could see, okay, where I could see these kind of variables happening. Okay. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, that's the signal's ringing in my ear, probably in your ear as well. Is that once we started this downtrend, okay, because that's all this is really a downtrend if you look at it, right? I wanted to see that there was consolidation and collapse, maybe a little bit of increase of retracement, consolidation, and then collapse, consolidation and collapse, consolidation, collapse, okay? And this was a pretty strong bot of mine, and I really needed to see it be successful. But I not only noticed the process happening there, but I also noticed it happening in one of the other bots we were doing. And it was the same thing. It was the same progress of consolidation and collapse, retracement, consolidation, collapse. And when I started to notice this, I started to say to myself, well, these areas of retracement in the world of the upside down world, right? Sorry if you're a Stranger Things fan, is that if the pair was going, if it was going down here, it means that it was going up here. And as it would retrace to go back negative, this bout was never more than 2 days, right? Because the psychological battle we as humans fight of 2 days of losing is very hard. Why? Because I was fighting it here and fighting it here. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days of losing. But in the upside down, that's 10 days of winning. Now, why do I know the system works? The system works is because really it comes down to this. This is the cannon. I'll show you the cannon first. This is cannon forward, which means that I took the reverse side of it on all those positions since April 17th. We had those couple down days, and then we had all these up days. We had a little bit on Friday, but now we're back into the growth again. We did 241 pips. Now, why is that so important? I'm not so much worried about the pips, but the production of profit is pretty good, is because every single trade is done with a micro lot. That's why. And the performance here is pretty powerful. If I go over to Odin Forward, which is the opposite of that first equity curve I showed you, we did 102 pips today. We did on these bots, I think it was like 190 on the Odin or on the Odin on Friday, which is the NFP. Now, I'm not saying our bots trade the NFP, but I guess I am. But they trade it with performance enough to recover. Were they losing in the very beginning part of the NFP? Absolutely. But that's why we have a pretty low drawdown. That's 2%. Now, that's 2% on a $1,000 demo account. This is a demo account. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to put my real money. All these people that are like, put your money where your mouth is. So, yeah, screw you. I had one person tell me that this morning here, and I'll show you something. I love this, right? And this person shows me this. Let me see if I can find him again. Here, I'll go over and see if I can find him real quick. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pause the share here. Oh. Go to his thing. Resume share. Okay, so here's he goes onto one of my Facebook comments, right, about DexFX copy, and he shows me this, which is beautiful, right? And he goes, "You should really be doing a live real account. If you really believe in your things, then you should be doing a live account." And in most cases, you're probably right? Why, if I'm doing so well, why not use a live account? Well, I do use a live account, but I use my system to copy into my live account, and those results by the SFTC and a few others, I'm not allowed to show you without having all the disclaimers and all that. And that's not what today is about. But something really started to rub me raw. This guy really started showing up on everybody's stream saying, you should use live money, use my live money, which was, hey, contact me to buy my bot, which is his little auto trend thing here. But let me show you something. When you click on his name right there and you come to this page, okay, and here's his latest one, but look at all these other ones that he has in a real account. Loss, 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 loss. Now, you had a couple at the end that have on that winning ratio, which are pretty good, but the system is still, this is why I don't use real money. You know how much money some of these things are that he has in here? This is incredible. There's 1,000, loss. There's 1,000, loss. It's 2,300 that he had at one time, but he lost 228 bucks testing a product. Why would you even do that? And that's what it comes down to for me is, why would I want to lose real money into a system that's supposed to be making me money? Right? I can test it through my Copier service. All right. So here's what we got going on. And this is where I'm going to do a new share. I'm going to watch the process of that equity curve of going in the opposite direction. What I do is that I created a process for a Copier, right? So what it does is that I have the Odin running on the Copier, and the Odin is doing really bad, right? But then what I do is that I have another account running on a Copier service. Now, my Copier service is a third-party network overseas, so it's legitimate and it's real, and I don't have to carry all of the burden of carrying people's account numbers and all that kind of stuff. So this is what we call a WB, a web-based system. And the web-based system puts the account on to the Copier. And then what it does is that it copies the process to another account, but in the interim of it going to the other account, it flips it in the opposite direction, right? So we call this the Odin and then the Odin forward, right? Now the Odin forward then becomes the signal, right? We don't let people have attachment to this, but we let people have attachment to this. And the same thing happens with the cannon, right? Primary cannon's doing really badly. They send it over to the Copier. It copies the system and reverses it and creates cannon forward, right? Which we allow people to have a signal to. It's it. Now, I have another system that's coming on board. And the cool thing is that it's a scalping system. And I'm going to not really go too much into that today, but it's the priority for that system is pretty high because it did 40 something bucks over the weekend or on the on the day of NFP, which is not bad because they were all like 0.03 micro lots. But that one has a little bit more of a controversy to it. Okay. It's not one of my bots. It's not one of my systems, but because I have it on my account, there's no problem with me having my account being copied. Okay. Because it's being traded for my account. So that system's coming alive too on the DexFX copy. All right, let's jump back over real quick. I'm going to do a new share, do desktop. Yep, there it is, got bought up. All right, so the USDJPY from the daily signal, okay, from the daily signal, USDJPY is sitting on the network now. And it's at 95.8% success rate. It's pretty badass, right? I'm going to do it on the sell. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it hasn't lost. It came pretty close to a loss here on the first, but other than that, pretty powerful. So we got into that trade, which yay for us. Now, for some of you, you're like, well, Max, you can't really live on 22 bucks, you know, and you're absolutely right. But this is not about me living. This is about me showing you what's real. And whether or not it's on demo or not, I don't give a shit. I don't want to hear any objections of, oh, but it's on demo and why can't you trade live? Your system is so great. Why do you trade live? You know, I do trade live. Okay. But I'm also getting back in the swing of trading Nadex because I've been doing bot training and everything else for the last 4 or 5 months and building systems. So we're getting back into that. We're going to let this thing go through. I'm probably not going to be, because I'm practicing out on this webinar series stuff. I'm getting everything online. There's a huge network of systems that are coming on board that we're getting prepared for. And what I mean by huge is that we're finally getting some of the solutions all put into one place, of course, but there's something new that's coming. And in fact, I'll show you let me share with you what's happening. Let me clear all this out of here. As you know, all of you come on board. You've either found me by going to the internet, going to YouTube channel or Facebook page or something. But all of you have found me somehow, some way. And when you have, you've either come in and bought a product. Yeah, you've gotten a product, or you've gotten a service. Okay. And the product may be an indicator, or the service may be signals. The secondary services of consults and chat rooms and all that stuff have always been back and forth. Okay. But now what we're going to do is that we're going to create a continuity program, one that runs all the time, right? And that's our signal service, our signal systems, right? All that service part of it. And that's going to be running pretty powerful. We're going to be actually now promoting it out to the world via some paid advertising and other processes to finally get to that level. But with this solution, this will have a lower cost, right? Or however much it is, 147, I think. This is with the coupon or what have you, okay? But secondarily, there's going to be an advancement room. And the advancement room is going to be, because people will come and just use this, and that's fine, right? Check that off your box, you're great, right? But the advancement room might have a higher end cost because I'm going to be in that room doing what I do today. Okay, this is what we're going to have the webinar series running. You're going to have a chat room on there where you can sit in the chat room like Paul is right now. I think Paul's in a room in there, being able to chat, and ask questions and raise his hand and say, hey, was that a good number to be into or what have you? Because when I trade, you'll have access to this room, right? This webinar will be running for you, okay? And if not, there'll be other processes of me being in chat, a live chat, really all day long with you during that trading time. You'll also get a calendar of events that, Max is trading here, but he's not trading on this day. He's trading at 8 p.m. on this day, and he's trading at 12 o'clock on this day. And why do I know this already? Well, because it's already starting to be made, but also I use the economic calendar for the news to be able to trade. In the solution as well, I'm also doing what we refer to as news trading, okay? I'm starting to take some of our daily signals and trade them during news packets to see about grabbing onto a wave, or sometimes even OTMs. That's right. I started to notice a trend here the last couple of times I've been trading through news that I'm able to get into better OTMs out of the monies during this process. But again, this is why the price difference is from here to here. Now, what we refer to this process of being able to get access to the webinar and some of these other things, okay, there's even another section that if you have this, okay, and we call this the master class. Oop, let me put that back over here. And the master class is getting all of the training that I personally have, okay, access to me, and not just access to me, you know, with the phone number and all that stuff, but we sit down and I go through a training value with you where you're trading. And I'm showing you different access. I'm watching your computer screen. I'm showing you different areas, and you get, I forget how many are in there, but it's almost like a week's worth of direct training. And, you know, we set up the time to, you know, go over your live accounts and your demos and what to do next and where to take your, you know, how to manage the money to get to that next level, right? Because that's the big thing. Also, your work at home opportunities and solutions that are in here. Why? Because I've been doing this for 9 years. I've been working from home for 9 years and trading for 5 of that. Okay, so the concepts here are simple. We also help in that masterclass find your path, whether or not you're a day trader or a long-term trader, or retail trader, whatever you want to get to, whether or not you should be even in trading. Okay, and this is going to be about $999 right around there, just under $1,000, $947 or something like that, something ridiculously low. But you have to have that, right? And I know this all seems like a lot of money. You know, some of you are not going to be able to afford it. There'll be payment plans and all that kind of stuff. But for those that can, for those that progress up the chain here to get to this point, this is how our company is going to be structured from this point on. I want to help these guys as much as possible. But my main concern are those people that are here to make money, support the company, and also be a part of our masterclass, okay? Because this is where we want to go eventually. All right, so that's what's coming. I'm just giving you guys a heads up of some great stuff that's on its way. Let me clear this board out of here. Let's go over and have a quick look at the, let me share desktop. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Nicely done. That's why I love the dailies, okay? The dailies have this process, and I don't know if you know a lot about the dailies, and I know Paul, who's on board, knows a lot about them, but it's a range trade. And even if we have, because we have the sell here, we put a working order on this particular price up here, which was 109.40. But the price was sitting down right around in this area when we seen it, right? And so the price kind of came back up, because even though it was down below, there was no money on that pair, kind of came up just enough to kind of come down, and now it's heading back down south, right? Filled our working order for the 22 bucks, and now it's doing its thing. We got an hour and 27 minutes left, so anything can happen, but the concept is still the same. We got into a trade here for $22. Now, originally I said, you know, 22 bucks, you know, can't really live on that. But imagine trading 5 contracts or 10 contracts. This will be a $220 day with a 95% success rate. Now, why do we know that? Well, because our system tells us so. 95.8% success. This is over the last 100 trades of the USD/JPY, the last 100 signals of the USD/JPY, won 95.8%. Pretty powerful, right? So when you can find the right one, now if you notice, I didn't go back after all these other ones that are in here. Okay, I didn't go back after all of them. I even took the Briscoe-Town JPY off. Now, if you were just a regular signals person from that first tier, you'd probably be in doing all your thing and just practicing and doing whatever. But that second tier, you would have known, hey, Max does it this way because you watched me do it on the webinars. All right. And in a masterclass, you'd be on the phone with me and we'd be talking right now. You'd probably be on board the actual webinar, being able to talk and be a part of that webinar. And I'd be sculpting you to be more into the system itself and be able to help others as well. All right. Well, that's basically my time. I'm going to do a rebroadcast of this video, but also an add-on to show the pair winning at 11 o'clock, because you don't want to sit here for a couple of hours while this thing matures, an hour and 26 minutes. You know, you wanted your information. You came in, you got some good information from that. This was one of the first ones that I'm doing on board the system. Everybody's going to get an email of where all this stuff is going to be at. So it's going to take a couple of days to get everything built out, but all the training, all the solutions, everything will be there on what to do and where to go. Start after we release that, this area up here will no longer be green. It'll be blue, because I'll be trading live and showing those live trades happening every single day. Now, with that, there'll be certain disclaimers and things you'll have to sign to be able to be in that room, but lots of great stuff coming. I want to say thank you very much to Paul for hanging out with us. My friend, you're always constant and vigilant, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Oh, Paul raised his hand. Let's see. I think you had a chat on it, right? We have a chat? Yes, chat. Go, hey. I think there's a chat on it. I have to look at what it looks like from your side. But again, we're getting everything organized and finally everything on board that we need to beat that next level. All right, everybody. You guys have a great day. We'll see you soon. I'm Max Farrell. This is Dex Trader. And as always, trade well. Phew, I made it back just in time. We're here back on the signals have fired off. And we got into the USD, was on a working order. We got into the USD. Ran all the way upstairs because I had 1 minute to spare. I wanted to just see, so you did see it one. Also, I would have just showed you my account on here. It is a demo account. We are starting to trade live here, starting on Wednesday on some live trades. But also during the week, we're going to be doing some demo trades out on news for the Nadex and the daily signals. So we won with plenty. It was like 16 pips that we won on with this. 5 seconds in, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da. Very simple. The whole process here is not to show you how much money we won, but to show you exactly how the process works. You know, and if you're asking yourself, how do I live on $22 with that? You don't. You build up an equity of winning trades. And if you do 2 or 3 a day on the winning side, okay, so you got 3 winning trades a day that you're doing. You got $66 going on in that process, or $60, let's say, after fees. Okay, all we have to do is work on this consistency and then simply just add volume. All right, this will get you to your goal. So that consistency plus volume equals goal in your solution. Okay, so what is that number? You just got to do a little bit of reverse engineering. If you want $6,000 a month, what is that going to get to for you? You know, so you have to kind of figure out what all that comes down to and what all that process is for you. But you see, it was a win. We were on that winning side. We got the trade going good. And we'll be back again later on, as well as probably tomorrow and the next day and the next day. We've been at it now for 5 years. So I'll see you all next time. I'm Max Farrell. This is Dex Trader. And as always, trade well.